Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for yet another fantastic rock show, MPJ Rock Album Reviews. We are reviewing the latest album releases in 2 albums, head-to-head. Who will we buy? Welcome to my amazing crew. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
So, who do we have today? All right, well, we have 2 bands I've never heard of. Colony House with their album, The Cannonballers. Great name for an album. And Creye, took us a while to work out how to pronounce that, called their album called Weightlessness, or Weightless even, not Weightlessness. I'm on a diet, so that's obviously on my mind. Right, okay, so... who are they then? So how we're going to do it is we're going to introduce 2 bands, we're going to review the albums, and then we're going to score them at the end and see what they have. So Cannonballers, Colony House. Who are they? Colony House is an American indie rock band from Franklin, Tennessee. Their debut album, When I Was Younger, reached our number 154 on the Billboard 200 and number 3 on the Heatseekers album charts. I've got to find out what this Heatseekers chart is. Natives of Franklin, Tennessee, the band is composed of brothers Caleb Chapman, born October 2nd, who cares, 89. Vocals, Will Chapman, born whenever. Drums, guitarist Scott Mills and bassist Parky Cottrell. Caleb and Will are the sons of contemporary Christian musician Steve Curtis Chapman, never heard of him. The band began working together while in high school in 2009. They've described their sound as rock and roll with stripped down instruments influenced by U2 and Cold War Kids. Ooh, right. Well, Trish, then, let's start with you then. Colony House, talk to me. What do you think? You heard of them?
No, I hadn't. And with the name of the band and the title of the album, I had no idea what to expect. But it opens with a punk-paced, short-length, landlocked surf rock. The rest of the album embraces the traditional rock and roll like on Woodja Kudja, cleverly melodic track that springs to life. Trying to Survive bears a likeness to Imagine Dragons, I felt. Colony House blends anthemic melodies with harmonies. This is a skip in your step beat album.
A what? A skippy, sexy album, did you say?
No, like a skip in your step.
A skip in your step?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said you're skipping your sex. Genuinely, I did. Hold on. Now we're talking rock and roll. Skip doing your sex.
Put your urine in, Nigel.
I know, right? Or maybe
so
I just want to hear what I want to hear.
Properly and actually hear what Paramore sound like.
I think it's the other way round, brothers. So, okay. So, Dom, did this make you skip in your sex doing sex by any chance? Or
so much, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I loved it. I thought this was an amazing album. Really up my street. It's proper indie. And I like the connection you made with Cold War Kids, who I haven't heard of Colony House, but Cold War Kids, I had some of their early stuff, and they are very similar. It's kind of quirky, very British sounding, I would say, very British indie sounding. You got all those jangly guitars, which has almost got like an 80s, late 80s, early 90s feel to it. The landlocked surf rock particularly was a great tune. And then the other one that stood out for me was Woodja Kudja. The guitars on there, they sound like Teenage Kicks to me. And I thought they've got their references down perfectly in terms of getting that kind of indie rock sound going. Loved it. Thought it was a great album.
Ooh, Dom's come alive, people. Dom has come alive.
You see my level now.
We're hitting this sweet spot, yeah? We're hitting this sweet spot. Paul, did Colony House hit you with their cannonball? Did it hit you in your sweet spot, brother?
At first, yes. At first, I would say for me it was the front runner for most of the month. Colony House hailed from Tennessee, and they sounded surf rock, low-key alternative rock akin to Imagine Dragons, combined with neon trees and, as Trisha said, skip in your step beat. A number of years ago, songs like...
It wasn't step, but we'll move on.
It was. I heard it clearly. It's
Yeah, but it was more rock and roll to hear the other thing. But here we go.
Yeah, a number of years ago, songs like Landlock, Surf Rock, and Would You, Could You would have been regarded as pop punk, such as the continued new categorization and categorizing of rock that's going on. They call it surf rock. Colney House hit the sweet spot with most of this.
Is that PC, by the way, Paul? Do you think?
PC?
Political characterization.
I just think it's bands reinventing the genre they want to be in, basically, or critics recategorizing bands that they don't want to be in a certain category.
I know, but if it's just political correctness, and now we can have political categorization. We can make up our own PC version of it in rock and roll. But there we go.
So where was I? So Colney House hit the sweet spot with most of their songs on the front end of this album. However, halfway through, the album slows things down with the song Everything, which is fine in itself, but the album fails to pick up on the momentum it had at the start of the album. And for me, that was the only album's failing, basically. The more I listened to it, the more I listened to the first 6 songs. I kind of didn't want to listen to the rest of the album.
So, Dave, indie rock, did it tick anything for you in your soulless lack of indie rock heart?
I think that's a bit harsh, but no, I've really, really enjoyed this. The first time I listened to it was when I was on an early drive on the way to work, and it was like 6 a.m, and it was just perfectly nice and chill. It's not too hard. There's nothing about it that too obnoxious for that time of the morning, and it just I really got into it. There's some beautiful songs on it. The first time I heard Would You, Could You, I thought this song's going to get stuck in my head, and it did very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. Everything, I think, is a brilliant song, really well written. I do see Paul's point. It does sort of fail to sort of pick back up again at the end. But, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's still a very, very solid album. It's one that continues to grow on me, and I think I'll be coming back to this for quite some time.
Wowzers. Very, very interesting, because sometimes an album like this can be a little bit hit and miss. For me, it was a sensational album. It really was. It was just... I love the fact it didn't pick up again. I love the fact that it took me on a journey. I love the fact that the first half of the album was brilliant, hit rock and roll, and then mellowed it down and landlocked and Would You, Could You, and oh my god, One of These Days, just like and the more you listen to it, there was a really good lyricism in there as well. They were trying to give a little bit of a message without ramming it down your throat. I thought this was a brilliant album. Absolutely hit my sweet spot. Probably my album of the month. I thought it was absolutely terrific. Loved it, and they are definitely on my playlist. And for 3 songs to hit my playlist is something else as well. So brilliant album. Absolutely. I mean, probably I would say the best indie rock album I've listened to since I've started these album reviews. For sure. And up there with, because I've missed out on the likes of Block Party when I went back and listened to people when I first started listening to albums again, etc. as well. And I think this is a brilliant indie rock album. So absolutely phenomenal. So terrific. Right. Well. Oh, Creye then. Will they be crying? And their song Weightless. They've got a mountain to climb here. Are they good enough to climb it? Who are Creye? Well, there's not a lot about them, as we've commented. We've got more of our social media than they've got. Hailing, because we can't go without hailing from you all know where. Sweden! Creye is a rock and pop band that was created by guitarist Andreas Gullstrand, the band, has a powerful and tasteful sound. I mean, how can you have a tasteful sound? How can rock and roll be tasteful? Sound combining melodic rock with synth-based retro wave, taking you on a journey right back to the 80s. Okay, Dom, then, let's start with you. Did this make you cry? Did it make you feel weightless? Did it take you to the heavens? Talk.
Yeah, it was very Swedish hair metal, it sounded like to me, didn't it? Sort of back to the 80s. Again, melodic rock, I'm not sure. AOR, it definitely was AOR, adult orientated rock kind of idea. It was okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Was it original? No, not 1 ounce of originality in the album. I thought I'd heard it a million times before, back when I was a teenager, and actually, I thought every song pretty much had the same structure as well. And I was looking at some other reviews of it, and somebody described it as effortless, and I thought, yeah, that's exactly right. It didn't have a lot of effort put into it to me. I think there was, musically, they're obviously really talented, know how to play some guitars, they know how to construct a song. But yeah, it's a bit of a yawn fest. That'd be my take on it.
Wow. So if they're supporting Paramore, then you'll have your deck chair next to Paul for the support act.
I'll be in the bar.
And Paul can take over. You can share deck chairs at the Creye Paramore concert. Okay, Paul, Creye. Surely not.
Yeah. So they've. This is their 3rd album, and they've gone through a number of lineup changes, but. For this album, they went on a pre-tour and everything, so they've been able to bond and get tighter. So they're a solid rock band. The vocalist August Creye has a smooth, soulful tone to his voice, and he manages to raise up the melody on some of the faster and harder tracks. The album tracks are a mix of AOR rock, as Dom has already said, and more harder hitting rock. Notably, the opening track, Glorious, How Far, and In the Shadows. Again, this album gets better with each listen. And after first listen, this was like a 2 rating or whatever. But the more I've listened to it, the more I've appreciated it. And we've listened to quite a few Swedish bands, and I have to say that I believe Creye have to be the best of them. These songs are well crafted. The change of pace they've created on the album is spot on. It's going to be interesting what they come up with in the future.
Right. Well, Dave, I'm not going to predict Dave anymore after Colony House. Creye, did it make you cry?
To be honest with you, I mean, this is really my particular style. We've listened to quite a few albums that have had a very sort of 80s style to them. But this one, it did seem to have a little bit more of a modern feel to it. There was something about it, and I still can't put my finger on it, that just made me go, if you put this amongst a load of 80s albums, I would be able to pick this one out as the one that had been made sort of today. Some really reasonable vocals and guitars in it. Some of the guitars did have me breaking out the air guitar, I've got to admit. But, I enjoyed it enough. As I say, it's not particularly my style. I don't think it's something I would ever, go back to repeatedly. But, more than happy to listen to it, and really did enjoy it the times that I did listen to it.
Wow. Now, I left her to last because she is the self-professed 80s queen, so if we have to have an expert in 80s rock music, then that would be Trish. Let's be honest about it. So, Trish, was this, in your opinion, 80s rock?
Most definitely. Again, this was a band that I'd never heard of, so I didn't know what to expect. Then as soon as I heard the opening track, a smile came to my face. My sweet spot was it about to be filled? Oh, and it was filled to the brim. Weightless provides listeners a proper mix of melodic rock with some brisk rockers. It's full of soaring melodies, thunderous guitars, and fans putting their fists permanently pumping in the air. It offers fans a solid, well-crafted, and entertaining album of melodic rock, and it hit my spot.
Put that in your pipe, Dom, and smoke it. That's what she's saying on that one, my friend. On that score, absolutely. I'm going to pick up, and I don't know whether you would agree with me. One of our early bands that we rated very highly, and I think, and the only person that put them down was Chris when we listened to Daughtry. And I have to say that in terms of melodic rock, there was some similarities in that style and feel to Daughtry. And I don't think it's anywhere near as good as Daughtry. We're dropping this one, Paul. We are watching Daughtry at the Royal Albert Hall on Monday, which is so exciting. So this is going to be really cool. But I felt it was similar style to Daughtry in that way, very melodic. I wouldn't put it, and I see where you're coming from, Dave, because it wasn't out and out dad rock classic 80s. There was some similarities. There was influences in there without it being that one. And I would go definitely more to that AOR, definitely more to that melodic rock, and it was fine. It wasn't. Again, it's similar right through the month for me, particularly with you lot, with the Star Wars. I liked it. I thought it was solid. I thought it was good, but I never really loved it. And I think, and sometimes you can get something in your head, and I say, well, if it does sound like Daughtry, it's nowhere near as good as Daughtry. But it was solid enough, and it was an enjoyable listen without me wanting to go, oh, I definitely want to put back on this month as well. Particularly, obviously, obviously we've been talking about Colony House and up against that particular album as well. So, but it was an enjoyable listen, and it was solidly good album, and I did enjoy it. So. Right, well, I know this one is going to potentially swing. So let's find out. Here we're about to rate our songs out of 5, see which album we're going to buy. If it gets over 20 points, which is an average of 4, gets into our Hall of Fame, of which we've already had another one this month, which will grow up. Well, 19.5 will get into our top 20. 19 will get into our top 30, and 18 plus we'll get into our top 40, 17 and a half, top 50. Let's find out then, which album will we buy? Will it get into our top album? Will it qualify, get into our album of the year for our reviews for our top 2023 albums at the end of the year? Let's find out. Trish, then let's start with you. Colony House.
4.5.
4.5, solid start. And Creye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What a shot!
Say you know me.
Yeah,
shot.
I made a prediction. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty safe. I know what's coming there.
Yeah, well, okay, Dom, Colony House.
Colony House, I'm going to give them 5.
5! Dom,
Yeah.
the first 5! We've had a 0 from him this month, and now we've got a 5. We got a 5 from Dom. Fantastic. And Creye.
I'm going to give them 2.
2. Okay, Paul, Colony House.
3.5.
3.5. I was expecting a little bit more there. You harsh man. And Creye.
4.
4! It's 2-1. It's 2-1. Creye are winning. Dave, Colony House.
4.5.
4.5. Bang in your face. And Creye.
3.5.
Solid. Okay. Creye. I'm going to go around because it's 2-2, guys. It's 2-2. I think you might end up knowing where this is going. Creye, 3.5. Colony House, 5. Awesome album. I think we have a new Hall of Famer for certain. Let's start with Creye. Creye, 3.5, 8.5, 12.5, 13, 16. Still 18, guys. It's still 18. It's still in our top 36 albums. That's a good score, and certainly going to get in our top 10 for 2023 so far on that score. That's amazing. However, Cannonballers 10, 18, 19, 19 and a half, 22 and a half. 22 and a half. That is not just into our massive Hall of Fame, but I'm quickly going to do the numbers here on my phone. 22 and a half. That is huge. That is a huge score, people. Huge score. Gosh, like, who can do the numbers? Who's got a calculator there? 22. 22 and a half divided by 5, everybody.
4.5.
Sorry? 4.5? Is that 4.5, isn't it? It is. Divided by 5. It's 4.5. It is our joint second highest rated album of all time. It is on a par. It is on a par with Volbeat. Doesn't beat Beyond the Black. Dom, check out Beyond the Black, which is last month was rated our top album ever. 4.5. What an album! Absolutely. And you know what? Actually, I'm pleased by that because it's a different style of album as well. I think that's probably the highest rated indie rock album I think we've rated. So, which is thoroughly interesting. And obviously, Will and Simon and that lot haven't listened to it, and they would hate it, I would imagine. But who knows? Who knows? What a fantastic album! What a fantastic show! Finish off this sequence of album reviews in fine fashion. Thank you very much. Congratulations again to Colony House. Well done to Creye as well. I mean, 18 is a really top score. As you can discover, we can be very harsh critics. So thank you very much for joining me today. And keep on rocking. And please like and subscribe our show. Please share our posts. Go to our Facebook. You would have seen where you can find us at the bottom of the page. And keep on listening. Keep on rocking. Keep on smiling. Dom, thank you very much. Welcome. I hope you've enjoyed our month with us. You will come back again next month. That would be awesome. Let's not panic at that disco. And Paul, thank you very much. Dave and Trish, also thank you. Goodbye, everybody.